We're supposed to be saying.
We're just going to talk.
Are we? What are we talking about?
Hello, welcome to Papa's Happy Place. We're going to call this episode Papa's Happy Time. We're here with Mama P. She's going to be my taster for tonight. Let me explain what we're tasting first. Is the Hefeweizen that I bought. Brewed this last weekend. The Hefeweizen I bought because Paulette wanted to have a beer that wasn't real hoppy, and she said she liked wheat beers and sours, and I found the Hefeweizen on flash brew from morebeer.com. It's kind of a dump beer. You just take everything, you dump it in your fermenter, and put it in the, put the heat to it and pressurize it and let it go. I got this one done in 56 hours. It fermented out. It's been cold crashing for 4 days, 34 degrees. And so we're going to taste it. She's going to taste it. I'm going to taste it. We're going to see what we think. And then we're going to give some reviews. And then we'll just talk and see, talk about life and what's going on. So first things first, I know you have not seen these before. These are an oxbow. That's a type of a, this is like a little pony keg. And it's pressurizable. And I've got a little tap system here that I can hook to it. And so what you do, see the little, pull that back, put it up on the...
Those would have made our cake taste a lot easier.
Oh, a lot easier. We could have, no, we would have been in trouble a lot. Okay. So, part of the deal with pressurized pouring and tapping is you don't want to, so that you don't get a lot of foam on your beer, you got to go real light on your pressure. So I'm going to pressurize this to about 5 to 7 pounds is all. And then we'll pour a beer. And so right now I'm holding, well, right at 5 pounds. This has been sitting in the fridge, 25 pounds. And I've basically taken and reduced the pressure down there. All the pressure that I put in there is now absorbed into the beer at 34 degrees. And as you pour your beer, it's best to have a really cold glass because the cold glass is not going to heat that beer up and it's not going to make it foam up really much. So, best way to pour a beer, tip your glass pretty close sideways and just pour slow. And then the longer your beer line is, the less foam you'll get. But, okay, and I'm at 0 pounds now. So let me turn my pressure up to about 5 pounds. I got this little regulator, and I've got a couple SodaStream bottles that'll hook to this. But this is how you pressurize. This one here was like, I got it off of More Beer. It's like $80 for this. And you can get the little small canisters. You can get SodaStream bottles. You can get just little 1 ounce bottles, whatever you need. But this is supposed to do like 20 of these bottles pouring beer at 5 pounds. So now, again, 5 pounds of pressure. Nice and easy. And as your cap gets up there close, just kind of tip your glass up. Wow, look at that one. That's a head. Let's see if this second one does better. Wow, that's a lot of foam. I'm not sure why. It's probably because my beer line's so short. We're just going to probably just have to let this set for a little while. Let the foam go down. Maybe if it will. I just put a lot of gelatin in them today because they weren't clearing out for me. So maybe the gelatin will make them stay a little while. But what do you think, hon?
I don't know.
You don't know. An interesting system. Is it something that
you can smell them?
Yeah.
It smells like beer.
Yeah, it is, and it's made with again wheat beer, which is more of a wheat than it is. This is traditional Hefeweizen has to have over 50% wheat grain, and this one I think is like 75% wheat, and so it's going to have a real bready. Supposed to have a real bready kind of a note to it because of all the wheat in it.
That's what it actually smells
Yeah.
like. Is the bread yeast?
Well, kind of like when you're making bread dough.
Mhm.
You
That's
take
what
that
it
bread dough and
reminds
you
me of.
kind of get that when it's fermenting and when it's rising, you get that smell of bread dough. That's I'm getting that too.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of get it's real strong in like the bread dough kind of, but yeah, it's not like sourdough.
No.
No,
No,
sourdough.
it just smells like bread.
It smells like bread, which that's going to be the wheat, I think, from the Hefeweizen. But yeah, that's. I'm hoping they clear out again. The hazy beer is not bad. There's a lot of beers now that they've got that are hazy, but this one's still carrying some haze. But I'm hoping a couple days with a little gelatin in it will actually.
I'm not quite getting beer out of it.
What are you getting? You get any flavors at all?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeasty.
Yeasty. And when I first brewed it, when I first took a sample to check my ratings and stuff, I got banana. Are you getting any banana in that?
No, I definitely just get more of a yeast flavor.
You know, I'm getting a banana. They say that the Hefeweizen is traditionally, especially under pressure, gives you a banana and a clove.
No, I definitely don't get clove at all.
Yeah. That's what they're supposed to be. A gelatin helped. Before it was real thin flavor. It was like drinking water. And now I'm getting kind of it stays in your mouth a little while.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's got a different mouth feel.
Yep. Yeah, it's not it's not like a American ale, which would be Budweiser. Of course, some of them, amber ales that are, or amber lagers is what they're calling them, American lagers that are real thin and crisp. This one's got a little more body to it, and I'm getting a lot of I get the banana on it.
Kind of.
I'm not getting the clove.
I don't think I would have ever gone banana without you saying it, but I guess I can kind of taste it now.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I thought banana is because that's what they say with this style of beer, especially fermenting under pressure, is that you get a lot of banana esters. You get that kind of a banana odor and banana flavor from, and it's because the phenols and the alkaloids, when the yeast convert the wheat over, that it gives under pressure, it knocks some of the bad stuff down, and you have to have your temperature up. But doing that, now it's taking and giving you a real strong banana. And I was talking with the guys at work and thinking I'm going to do a braggot maybe next spring, which a braggot is a combination between a honey wine, which would be a mead, and a beer. And I'm going to do one with the wheat for the bread and then banana mead and call it banana bread braggot. So it'll carry some of the bready notes from the hef with the banana and honey. I think I'm gonna do do that one this next spring. That'll be one that we'll have to try when I get it done. But I'm very excited that this one went out in 56 hours. It's one of the fastest I've ever heard of fermentation wise. Most of these HEFs take, they said up to 14 days. This one, from the time I put the cap on the fermenter and pitched yeast until it was done, was 56 hours later. So that's, not even 2 days.
Does the ferment time affect the flavor?
I think it does, but that's why this brewing style comes in kind of, because you can keep it colder and really stretch that fermentation out, so you can make it last 6 weeks, but you get a lot of different flavors in that process. Whereas if you can pressurize and get your heat up, then that gives you different flavors, but it pushes some of them flavors down while you're doing it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, there's a big controversy, not big, but there is controversy in the pressure fermenting. The purists just want to put it in their bucket and let it bubble away, and when it's done, it's done. Mm-hmm. And then there are people that are starting to pressure ferment in the last several years that are finding that they can pressure ferment in just a couple days, have it complete to where they can cold crash one, which cold crashing is you take it from, you get your beer and put it and take a sample, and it's over a couple hours that it stayed the same. The gravity has not changed. And this one stayed the same for like over 8 hours. I did 3 readings and it stayed the same through all 3 of them, so I knew it was done, and it quit bubbling on the spunning valve, which is a valve that goes on top.
Oh, right, the bubbly
the
noise
that makes that thing that bubbles, that quit bubbling, and I was like, okay, I wonder what's going on. I checked it again, and I checked it, and 8 hours later it was all the same. So it had quit fermenting after that, and that was 56 hours later. So that gives you the, it's a very flavorful beer, and it's done in, I don't know if it's record, but it's very fast. And it's got still holding the head to it. Still holding foam. I do hope it clears out. They say that almost all beers will clear out. A lot of them, they end up leaving hazy. You've heard of it, hazy IPAs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they put different grains and malts and stuff in them, so that some oatmeal, some wheats and stuff like that, so they stay hazy, so that they're not that crystal clear beer that's used. A lot of people are used to seeing that crystal clear beer. Mm-hmm. And when you get a hazy IPA, it's like it's not quite done. But this one's actually done. But I put some gelatin in it today to see if I could drop some more out of it and see if I can get it just a little clearer. I don't care if it's hazy. That's fine. If you look at the bottom, there's some yeast cake in the bottom where the yeast is, when it got cold, it went dormant and it drops to the bottom. And then you pull all the beer off, and you take the yeast, and you can save the yeast or just throw it away. And I've actually been saving yeast. That's what's in the fridge in the garage, is just jars, and you harvest the yeast, and then you can reuse the yeast, which the normal yeast I've been using is like 80 cents a pack. But some of the high-end Hefeweizen strains and stuff like that are like $14, $15 a pitch. So it can be very expensive, and that's something you'd want to reuse and to save you some money first off. But it's kind of an interesting process on how you collect that yeast and how you can, reuse it. And they say you can use it indefinitely. Some people don't suggest going over like 6 generations on the yeast, because then you start to get some deformation of the genetic pool. They start to deform away from what they originally were,
Mm-hmm.
which who knows, it may be a happy accident, but it may get really bad too. So, you know, it's kind of the whole beer brewing is kind of in the different directions you can go with just about anything. As far as right now, I'm just picking up the kits off of the different brewing sites that you can just put in a fermenter, but you can go to full grain brewing where you have to go out and crush your grains and mix them all together and grind them and then put them in and boil them and do all of the things to pull all of the starches and all of the sugars out of your grains so that you can create a tasty beer. And you have to part art, part science.
And with that, you don't use a yeast?
Yes, you do.
Even then you use a yeast?
We always use yeast. What the yeast does is the yeast converts any of the convertible sugars over to a alcohol. And then everything that's not convertible gives you your flavor. So there are low alcohols and high alcohols. And low alcohols are the ones that we take into our system and catch a buzz. And, that's our low alcohols. High alcohols are the flavorings and so the banana flavor you're getting or the bread, that's the high alcohols. And those are not convertible by our bodies to they are an alcohol, but they're not converted. And the yeast can't convert them either. So you have to, I've been, a couple of the guys at work are interested in the beer, but they don't like drinking beer because they're trying to stay away from alcohol. And I've been researching non-alcoholic beers or low alcoholic beers, something that's less than 1%. And they've got yeast varieties right now that actually take, and when you do all of your milling and all, you pick certain grains and you heat them to a different boiling or a heating point where it doesn't extract the same sugars. Normally you'd come up to, let's say, 150 degrees where you'd be for barley. And that hits your alpha amylase. And your alpha amylase is an enzyme in the grains that converts from the starches to a glucose or a sucrose, which the yeast can then. But if you go past that and go up to like 175 degrees, then you don't catch, and you go past the alpha and the beta, and you go into a different amylase, and it just pulls flavors. It doesn't pull the alcohol, the starches out. Okay. And so you still have starches in there, but you get more of the flavor without and then when you pitch your yeast are a special strain that do not convert your sucralose and fructose, the different sugars that our body's used to, doesn't convert those, and it only converts high sugars, and then that leaves you a beer that's low alcohol. And usually you cold crash those when it hits 4%, less than 0.4%, so that when it finishes less than 0.5% alcohol. And so that's that is actually getting very popular as far as a non-alcoholic, because people want to be healthy. They want to go with a beer that they can drink that's not going to, get them intoxicated, but they can enjoy the flavors. They enjoy beer drinking, but they don't want the alcohol content, or they don't want things that are going to, taking in religious reasons, they don't want it, or for health reasons, they don't want the alcohol, or they're an alcoholic and they don't want to get back in it. They like to taste the beer, but they don't, want to get back into where they're drinking heavy for. So,
what about with like that tonic that you were talking about, the tonic water? What about doing something like that and using
a seltzer water?
Your seltzer water,
mm-hmm.
And using a CBD powder and making a CBD tonic water.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because there's CBD powders that you can use. It's not a tincture. It's a
and you can make
you can make cocktails and whatever.
You can make a strawberry flavored or a peach flavored or whatever, and you can use a well, you'd have to have some kind of fermentable sugar in there to ferment it down a little bit, but you could, again, go with a very small amount of a fermentable sugar and put in a regular sugar just to give you just a little bit of an alcohol content, and then your CBD powder on the backside. Put your flavorings in. Put your chemicals in to kill the yeast so that they don't keep converting any sugars that go in, and then you can go back in with either a flavoring or a natural juice of some kind and the CBD and create that may be an experiment we might have to look into. Mm-hmm. That'd be kind of fun. And yeah, it'd be something that, for people that have joint pains, people that, have, headaches, people, they could have a drink of Mama P's special elixir and so.
With the yeast and everything, you know how they do a sourdough starter?
Uh-huh.
Have they done that type of starter with?
Yes. That's kind of what
Is it the same concept?
Yeah, it's basically the same, but instead of growing a culture, you just leave the yeast dormant. That's why they sit in the refrigerator.
Okay.
And then some people freeze them. You can put them in vials and freeze them, and then pull them out and let them basically thaw out, and they're alive.
So you don't have to feed them.
Nope, you don't have to feed them. They're just dormant. And then when you get ready to pitch them or put them into your, if you're in wine making, it'd be a must, or mead would be a must, or in beer is a wort, or the different names they have for the unfermented liquid that you would take, and before you pitch them, you put the yeast in them. Then you would have to either, some people take a little bit of wort and put back in with their yeast and let it come. They put it in a graduated cylinder or put in an Erlenmeyer flask with a stirring rod and do all kinds of stuff. And then they regenerate that yeast colony back up to something that's very strong a couple days before they decide to brew their beer. And then they pitch it in. And then that's just that they've taken those dormant yeast and grew a large colony. So when they put it into a yeast culture or an environment where they can thrive, that they were already starting to multiply and starting to do what yeast do, and then they just boom, and they go through your beer or go through your must really quick. So yes, it's that when you create a sourdough starter, basically what you are creating is a yeast colony, but once a week you have to divide the colony, add more food, add more, which is when you're adding your flours, you're adding your warm water, you're adding that's giving them yeast something to keep. So it's a moving live colony. Mm-hmm. You put them in the fridge in a jar and they're actually a dormant colony. It's a colony of yeast of a certain family that somebody's developed this family of yeast to get a certain flavor, or they want to be able to ferment very hot, or they want to, for some reason they've developed this yeast strain, and that yeast strain is what people are looking for when they're trying to develop these, and the different yeast growers are trying to come up with is something that works very well with wheat, which was this one I brewed with, I think it's Lallemand WB06, and it is the wheat beer, and it's specifically made for wheat beers. So it throws that banana ester, throws cloves, throws the different things that you get when you're thinking about and this is considered a wit beer, which is wheat beer, but they call this one a Hefeweizen. Have you ever had anything like this?
Mm-mm. No, I think it's more the mouth feel that is, and maybe it's the gelatin that you added to it that makes it a little bit weird.
And it could be. It could. Like I said, a couple days ago, I tried just a little bit, and it was real watery. And I didn't. I'm not always because a lot of your beers are real watery compared to, but this has a lot that stays in your mouth, and that flavor stays there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, but the difference I think is I just put a little bit of gelatin in it today to try and knock the haze down a little bit so I can get a little clearer beer, and it may be a lot different in 2 days. But what happens with when you put the gelatin or you put the clarifiers in is when you get them cold, they grab any particles that are in and they fall out and they drop to the bottom, and so you end up getting anything that is suspended in the solution down at the bottom where it's not in your beer, and then you drink the top part of the beer, and then what's left is, that's where all your yeast are. That's where some of that stuff's at, is in the bottom of the beer. But and so the gelatin should, in time, when it gets cold, just fall to the bottom, because it's going to weigh heavier than the liquid and should fall to the bottom. So it shouldn't stay in there forever. It should fall out. But it may stay in there a little while. I don't know. Is it enjoyable to you?
Mm-hmm. It's good.
You like that beer? Good. Good. Because that's the main, well, we've talked about it. The main reason I haven't drank beer in years, and I can actually drink this beer and it hasn't bothered me.
Not yet.
So that's interesting to me that, now our commercial beers have something in them they use but this hasn't bothered me. But I've only been having just samples, so. But it's interesting that it's not bothering me like a normal beer. I'd have 2 swallows and I'd be just coughing and chugging, but this hasn't bothered me. So, again, a lot of different interesting things and maybe homebrew's not so bad as far as maybe I'll be able to enjoy a beer now and again that's, using a certain yeaster. I've had that in my mind. How come I can't have certain ciders? How come I can't have certain wines? Because I'm allergic to them. The same reaction happens and that can't be because of barley, because you don't have barley in wine. Can't be because of the hops. No hops in wine. No hops in apple ciders. So where does that come from? The only thing that goes across all of them is yeast. So maybe it's certain yeast strains that I'm allergic to, that I can't have certain yeast strains, which maybe I'm not at least allergic to WB06. That's whatever that yeast strain is. But it looks like you got a little bit of beer left there. No.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah. So Halloween's coming. What are you excited about Halloween?
I guess the kids dressing up. Ronnie's very excited to be a unicorn. And it'll be.
Your costume's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she had a princess tiara today. Tiara.
Is that going with the unicorn?
So
Good Lord. She's going to be a princess unicorn.
Yes. Yes, and so I'm not sure what's going on there. But she's very excited about that.
What's the little one going to be?
I don't think I know.
You be a frog? No. What was the outfit that they all had? A pig?
Skunk.
Skunk. Was she a skunk last year? No?
Mm-mm.
So I don't think she's going to be a skunk this year.
Mm-mm.
Carver was Blockman last year, whatever he was. Tetris guy.
Yeah, and he's got some sort of costume with lights, has lights on it. And I don't know what it is. And I don't remember what race is.
Yeah, he did show me his gloves. They had lights on his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. I mean, for kids to have that stuff when they're out trick-or-treating.
Mm-hmm.
Did they even trick-or-treat all that much anymore?
They do. Mm-hmm. They do around the neighborhood has a lot of trick-or-treating.
I know a lot of people do the trunk-or-treating, which is where they go to a safe place and the kids can go to each car and, you know, they don't just, I remember we never had that as a kid.
Mm-mm. Yeah, they're actually doing trunk-or-treating out there at Blue Origin.
Yep, they're going to do the trunk-or-treat out at the, is that next week? Is that this week?
Saturday.
Tomorrow. Doing the trunk-or-treat. So the kids are going to go out and get loaded up on candy. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a week of them all strung out on sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, we won't. We'll be at work.
I will be at work. You won't, but I will. I'll be at work on Saturday.
No. I'm saying the whole week when they're here.
Yes, that's true.
They'll be strung out on sugar for a week.
They will.
Well, for a couple weeks, because they have the whole week of the trunk-or-treat plus everything they got here. Did you win?
No.
No?
It was a travel team, so.
Okay.
And it was 11 years, so.
Oh, that's a little older than you.
Oh, shoot.
Ronnie, we're videoing. Yeah, you can come sit with Bob. You want to be on camera?
Is Mom your surprise guest?
Yes. She's drinking a beer.
A camera?
Grandma? See, there's a camera. See that? I don't know if you can even see it. Can you see it here? Come over here. Let's see if you're head. See, there you are. See your head now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's your head. I could get it to work, but it's just so bright.
I mean, he did, but he couldn't. Yeah.
It's so bright. It's like holy cow, let's watch
anything?
this out. Yeah, we can. All right.
Oh, you should. It's Dan's birthday today.
Oh, it is.
And we should celebrate his birthday. Let y'all wish him a happy birthday.
Where's your head?
Allie, you want to bring his cake out and
Or just can't find a lighter.
we'll blow his candles out here on.
We need to turn it.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Wait, I need to see it.
Well, you can come over here and see it. Stand by Gram Gram.
Your sentence.
You can't see it from there. Come over and stand by Gram Gram. Can you see it over there? Look, stand right there. Can you see it now? See, there you are. Here, let me put you. I'm gonna zoom you in, okay? Here we go. Zoom. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There's Money. See your face?
Look how beautiful you are. Yes.
Is it a birthday?
It's my birthday.
That's the thing?
It's what?
Is it white?
It's my light. You like my light?
Bright light, bright light, bright light, bright light.
It ain't on yet. It is not a light that's on. Don't touch.
Wait,
Did you find one?
it's white. It's working.
Did you make it work?
Did you make it work? Is it all spinning?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, don't touch the light, it might burn you. You don't want to get burnt. Not get burnt.
It's turning brown. Okay, let's leave it here. It's me.
Is it gonna leak?
That's her.
It's me. Just me.
Just you? Oh, you? Can you see you? Where? Is that you?
Happy birthday.
Oh, here we go.
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Grandpa.
What do you got?
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
to you.
So now what do I gotta do?
We blow the candle.
Blow the candles out. How many chances do I get?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
Give me some of that. Give me some of it. Right here. What are you doing?
All right.
Now what do we get to do?
To eat it.
Get to eat it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thank you all for being there. And I'll here in a little bit I'll show you my shirt that I got for my birthday too. It's super cool. Opposite. Hey, guess what? I got some new stuff for my birthday today. Thought I'd share it with you. See what it says right here? See what it says right there? Papa's Happy Place. And guess what, Mr. Jack's Town? Huh? Look at the back here. Look at the back. You see it? You see it? Huh? Thank you, Jax. Thank you much. All right. Thanks for coming to Papa's Happy Place. Happy Place.